Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of More to Love. I'm so excited to have you here. This podcast is all about building healthy relationships, everything education about relationships, because sometimes we don't talk about some of the things that we need to talk about, and therefore we find ourselves in situations that we're not happy with. And so this is what the podcast is all about. There are so many relationship podcasts out there, and a lot of them are very much them against us, him against her. And this is not a podcast that I want to be like that. I want this podcast to very much be about learning, because we're all learning, right? We've all have things to share with each other. And so I felt like this would be a great platform in which to share some of those things. Now, for those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Della, and I'm going to give you a little bit of background as to who I am, what I'm doing here, and why I'm on your screen. Like, why is this person on your screen right now? Okay, just to give you a bit of context as to why I decided to start this particular podcast. Okay, so as I've said already, my name is Della. I'm already in the content space. I have a channel already called More to Della, which I've had for many years. That channel is more so to do with my journey from moving from the UK to Ghana, and also about me building my house in Ghana as well. Now, this channel is obviously solely about relationships. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm going to try and condense it as much as I can so you get a better understanding of who I am and why I'm here. Okay, so I am a single mother to 4 children. I was married for 18 years and I find myself single. Okay, so back in 2022, I had the shock of my life, and I realized that nothing was ever going to be the same again. Now, I will just throw in there that I am the one who asked for a divorce, simply because the relationship had got to a point where it had become very toxic. There were some elements of manipulation, emotional abuse in there, and it was a problem. I found myself becoming a shadow of who I actually am. So let me just rewind a few years for you to just give you a bit of better context, okay? So I was born and raised in the UK, and at the age of 18, I moved out of home and I lived by myself. And then I got married when I was 24. Around the age of 20, 21, I started going to church. Now, I know a lot of you will be like, uh-oh, why is she talking about church? The reason I'm speaking about church is because it played a huge role in my life at the time, okay? I was in church for many, many years. Now, I just want to put this disclaimer and say that I do not blame church for anything. The decisions were solely mine, but I just want you to understand the influence and the position that I was in at the time. So one thing I've noticed from being in church for such a long period of time is that they like to try and save you from some experiences, right? So when you're in the church environment, you're supposed to keep yourself clean. You're not supposed to be out there fornicating and doing certain things. So to prevent that, they do encourage you to get married, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But are you ready for marriage? Because marriage and relationships require a whole lot. They require you to fully understand yourself, fully need your partner to also understand themselves in order for you to be able to work together. When you get married very young, you haven't had certain experiences yet. So here I am, 2021, I'm in church. I'm kind of immersing myself in that culture, right? And then I meet this person who I think is, they're cool, they're okay, we can have a laugh together and stuff like that. It seems fine. And then you get encouraged to get married. There's no, okay, let them have some breathing space and see if this is really what they want. And before I knew it, a year and a half after knowing this person, we were married, which for me, I think is way too young. You may think that 24 is not young. For me, 24 was very, very, very young. Although I looked like I was ready for marriage, I really wasn't. So I looked like I was ready for marriage because, I had my own car, I had my own apartment, I was working, I was doing okay for myself. And so to the outside, I looked like, oh, she's got it together. She's definitely ready for this. And I felt at the time like I was also ready for this. I did feel like that. But obviously I had no idea what I was really walking into. Really, I had no experience of life. I really had no idea. I hadn't had a lot of previous relationships. And when I say relationships, that doesn't mean, these are people that, I was like, I don't mean like sexual experience. I'm talking about just having interactions with another person and seeing characteristics that you like and you don't like. I didn't have enough of that experience at all. And so I was very naive in that area. We went ahead, we got married after a year and a half, and things at the beginning were, they were okay. We got on, and so it was fun. It was fun at the beginning, and then, children came along. And then 10 years into the marriage, we decided to move to Ghana. Now, there is a big difference between Ghana and the UK. In the UK, things are very fast paced. You're moving a lot. There's a lot happening, right? So you don't have time to think about things at all. You're busy. You're always distracted by something. Now, when you come to Ghana, Ghana is completely different. Ghana is a much slower pace. So you have time to think, you have time to see things, you have time to reflect, you have time to sit with your own thoughts. And that's very much what happened when we moved to Ghana as a family. I had time to see things that I wasn't happy with, see things that were not right. And, I'm a great believer in marriage and long-term partnerships. I think they are wonderful. I wholeheartedly believe in that union because I believe that partnerships, the right partnerships, can make you strong. They can make you a better version of yourself, right? When I got married, I took it very seriously. So I knew that there would be tough times. And so I was willing to go through that. But one thing I realized, especially towards the latter stages of my marriage, was that it was not healthy. I was becoming a shadow of myself. I was taking on too much, and it was affecting me, not just externally, but internally, I've said it before, like there are interviews of me floating around on the internet where you'll see where I've talked about some of these things where, I found that I was going grey very rapidly and I couldn't understand why. I was very emotionally drained. I was always tired all the time and I couldn't understand, why are you always tired? Why do you always feel like this? No matter how many hours I sleep for, I wake up and I'm still exhausted and I couldn't understand it. There was a lot of me having to reevaluate what is happening here. I didn't understand. But anyway, fast forward back to 2022, I got the shock of my life and I realized that it was the end of my relationship. Now, I don't really want to go into too much about that because I just feel like it's not necessary for this video. But if you want to know more, I have released a book and it's called 18 Years from I Do to What Did I Do? And in that book, I break down exactly what happened for you to get a better understanding. And the book also shares some of the mistakes that I made, because I definitely made mistakes in the relationship myself. I share some of the things that I went through. Now, one of the things I will say about being with it, especially within the African and the Black community, is that it's never said, but that we shouldn't talk about. And so at the beginning, and in fact throughout my whole marriage, it was very difficult for me to talk about certain things because it wasn't seen as the thing that you should be doing. And so I put it all in a book. So if you want to know how you can get a copy of the book, I will put a link to that in the description box. But anyway, that's enough of that. As I said before, I'm a social media person. So when I came out about my separation, it was 6 to 7 months after he'd already left and gone back to the UK, because I went through a period where I was very down and out and I had no idea about what my life was anymore. I didn't know who I was. Like, there were so many emotions and things that I had to work through. And when I came out with the video where I said that my relationship had broken down, there was a lot of backlash. People were accusing me of all types of things, and it was like I was in a very hurtful space and I didn't know how to process these things. But I did get a ton of messages from people saying, do you know what? I understand what you're going through. I'm going through the same thing. And so I had a lot of support as well, but it was silent support. And what I mean by silent support is it was people who were also trapped in similar situations but didn't know how to come out of those situations for fear of backlash, fear of what family and friends would say, fear of their partners. And so I realized that this was not a Della situation anymore. This was a wider situation for society. And so instead of remaining in my shell, I decided to come out and talk about it more. So I had put a few videos on my other channel, More to Della, and I realized that it wasn't a good fit for that channel. Although it did gain some traction, the channel wasn't for that. So I decided to create this amazing channel here that you see. So that's the reason why I'm so passionate about this podcast. Because when I look back to when I was 24, I didn't have an older brother or an older sister or anybody telling me, oh, this this is something you should look out for. This is right, this is not right. I didn't have anybody to talk to and run things by. So that's the reason why this channel is so important to me, because it's about sharing some of the things that I learned along the way. And so also out of that, the Mortudela Wellness Foundation was also birthed. Now, the Mortudela Wellness Foundation is all about promoting healthier relationships and preventing abuse. Those are the two main things that the foundation stands for. And so it has been a wonderful journey. I'm now at a place where, you know, I feel happy, I feel at peace with myself. Life feels absolutely great. And so I'm ready to share and talk a lot more about, you know, how to rediscover yourself, how to be a better version of yourself, how to enter into a new relationship. Yes, there's going to be all of that. I'll also be sharing some aspects of my personal life when it comes to dating and sharing some of those experiences with you, because it has been many years and I'm like, what is going on here? I'll also have guests on the show as well who will come and talk about their experiences with relationships. So you'll get a nice balanced view. So I'm really glad that you guys are here, but I would love it if you guys would do me a favor. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I'd love it if you would do that for me, and also share this video. It'll be great for those that are trying to get into a relationship, those that are recently single, those that just want to know more, who are in long-term relationships that are like, okay, what do we do in this type of situation? You know, it's good for people like that. And I'm going to end the video there. If there is anything you would like to ask me, you can feel free to drop a comment into the comment section and I'll be sure to answer you there. And that's the end of today's video. So I've said it already, but I'll say it again. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Don't forget to also like, comment, and share this video. Until next time, I am out. Nisi Fafa.